The mother's death for the son's nobility system refers to the practice in which the emperor, before designating the crown prince, would first order the execution of the prince's biological mother. This method of succession, known as establishing the son and killing the mother or the son's nobility leading to the mother's death, was initiated by Tuoba Gui, the founding emperor of the Northern Wei dynasty during the Northern and Southern dynasties period. The purpose of this practice was to prevent the influence of the Empress Dowager's family from growing too powerful and interfering in political affairs during the 16 Kingdoms period, 304 to 439 AD. Various nomadic tribes from the northern grasslands integrated into the Central Plains civilization, transitioning from primitive tribal alliances to a feudal autocratic system. In this process, the Tuoba tribe lagged behind other Xianbei tribes and most other nomadic groups. Tuoba Gui, August 4, 371, November 6, 409, was a displaced orphan of a fallen kingdom. Fortunately, he received the compassion of the benevolent Qin ruler, Fu Jian, who allowed him to remain in his homeland. During the turbulent times of war, Tuoba Gui endured a life of hardship, wandering in destitution, suffering from hunger and cold. In moments of life-threatening danger, he was taken in by his maternal clan, the Helan tribe. When Tuoba Gui restored the Dai state, he was supported by his uncle, the legendary warlord Murong Chui. With the powerful later Yan dynasty backing him, Tuoba Gui was able to completely eliminate internal opposition. Through continuous military campaigns, the Northern Wei rapidly expanded, emerging as the new dominant power on the northern grasslands. Tuoba Gui had immense ambition. He was not content with merely being a regional nomadic chieftain. His goal was to seize control of the Central Plains and become the emperor of a feudal autocratic dynasty. Although he was highly ambitious and ruthless, he was also keenly aware that as long as his formidable uncle, the war god Murong Chui, was still alive, the Northern Wei army would not be able to break out of the grasslands and advance south into the Central Plains. Patience was key. Murong Chui was already nearing the age of 70. In the year 396, despite being gravely ill, Murong Chui led a campaign against Northern Wei. He carved a path through the Taihang Mountains and launched a surprise attack on the strategic military stronghold of Pingqing, where he killed the renowned Northern Wei general Tuoba Qian. With this stunning and awe-inspiring victory, Murong Chui brought his legendary career as a war god to a triumphant close. In 396, after Murong Chui's death, events unfolded exactly as Tuoba Gui had anticipated. The once powerful later Yan dynasty was plagued by internal strife, unable to maintain unity or resist the advancing Northern Wei forces. Seizing the opportunity, Tuoba Gui led his army into the Central Plains and relocated the Northern Wei capital to Pingqing. After moving south and relocating the capital to Pingqing, Tuoba Gui ascended to the imperial throne. He emulated Han Chinese dynasties by constructing palaces, establishing ancestral temples, and setting up altars for worship and state rituals. At the same time, he led his people in migrating to the areas surrounding Pingqing, developing vast fertile lands for agricultural production. He also actively promoted urban development, gradually transforming the traditional nomadic lifestyle into a more settled and structured way of life. Tuoba Gui claimed that he and the entire Tuoba clan were descendants of the Yellow Emperor, one of the ancestors of the Han people. Because of this, he believed they must follow the path of feudalization and Sinicization, learning from the Han Chinese. He appointed Han officials to participate in governance and established a structured bureaucracy. He abolished the original chieftain system among the Xianbei tribes and replaced it with a feudal ruler-subject hierarchy. Furthermore, Tuoba Gui forcibly disbanded tribal organizations based on blood relations and reorganized the nomadic population according to their place of residence. These reforms significantly accelerated the feudalization of Northern Wei. Tuoba c. 392 to 423, the eldest son of Tuoba Gui, was naturally filial, intelligent, and wise. He was known for his kindness and generosity, earning his father's deep affection. At the age of 11, he was granted the title of Prince of Qi, appointed as Chancellor, and bestowed the rank of Grand General of Chariots and Cavalry. In 409, Tuoba Gui told Tuoba c. in the past, Emperor Wu of Han, in preparing to establish his son Lu Fuling as heir, ordered the execution of his mother, Lady Gui, following the mother's death for the son's nobility system. This was to prevent women from interfering in state affairs and to stop the imperial in-laws from disrupting governance. You are destined to inherit the throne, so I am following Emperor Wu's example, making a long-term decision for your sake. Tuoba Si, being naturally filial, was devastated upon learning that his mother had been executed. Overwhelmed with grief, he lost control of himself. This reaction greatly angered Emperor Daowu. Tuoba Gue. After returning to his residence, Tuoba Si remained inconsolable, weeping day and night. When Tuoba Gue heard of this, he summoned him again. As Tuoba Si was about to enter the palace, his attendants advised him, a dutiful son should accept minor punishments, but if the punishment is severe, it is best to avoid it. His Majesty is still in a fit of rage. If you go now, you may face grave danger, which would put you in an unjust situation. It would be wiser to leave for now and return once the emperor's anger has subsided. It won't be too late then. Fearing for his safety, Tuoba Si heeded their advice and secretly fled from the palace. Tuoba Gue's favored concubine, Lady He, was originally his maternal aunt. In her youth, she was as beautiful as a celestial being, and when Tuoba Gue first met her, he was immediately smitten and desired to marry her. His mother tried to stop him, saying, "No, this woman is too beautiful but not virtuous, and she already has a husband." However, Tuoba Gue was unable to resist his desire. He secretly ordered the death of his aunt's husband and brought her into the imperial harem. Later, Lady He gave birth to a young prince, Tuoba Xiao. Tuoba Xiao was cruel, vicious, scheming, and rebellious, showing little regard for his upbringing. He was not favored by his father. Tuoba Si often tried to teach him using the principles of kindness and righteousness, but as a result, the relationship between the two brothers was strained. Tuoba Si was constantly worried that Tuoba Xiao might instigate a rebellion. On November 6, 409, Lady He, the mother of Tuoba Xiao, was accused of wrongdoing. Tuoba Gue imprisoned her in the palace and was about to order her execution. However, as night had fallen, the execution was postponed. Lady He secretly sent word to Tuoba Xiao, urging him to come and rescue her. That night, Tuoba Xiao, along with his warriors and some palace eunuchs, plotted and scaled the palace wall to enter. They made their way to Tuoba Gue's sleeping quarters. The guards who attended Tuoba Gue cried out that bandits had arrived. Startled, Tuoba Gue awoke and reached for his bow and sword, only to realize they were missing. In the ensuing chaos, Tuoba Xiao killed him. The next day, by noon, the palace gates remained closed, and the civil and military officials could not enter the palace. They gathered outside the gates. At this point, Tuoba Xiao poked his head through a crack in the gate and addressed the officials, saying, "I have a father, and I have an older brother. Whom do you intend to follow?" The nobles and ministers were shocked and stood frozen in place, unable to respond. The courtiers knew the emperor had died but did not know the exact cause of his death, so none dared to speak. As a result, discussions spread throughout the court and across the land, and soon, the news of the emperor's death spread nationwide. Upon hearing about the upheaval in the capital, Tuoba Si hurried back from his travels. The civil and military officials, as well as the common people, held great affection for him, and many eagerly rallied to support him, rushing out of the city to greet him. The palace guards captured Tuoba Xiao and brought him before Tuoba Si. Tuoba Si then ordered the execution of Tuoba Xiao and his mother, and also had Tuoba Xiao's warriors, along with the eunuchs, palace maids, and several others who had assisted in the conspiracy, put to death. On November 10, 409, Tuoba Si ascended to the imperial throne, granting an amnesty across the land and changing the era name to Yongxing. He posthumously honored his mother, Lady Lu, with the title of Empress Xuanmu. After his ascension, Tuoba Si continued the policies of his father, Tuoba Gue, focusing on the feudalization and Sinicization of the various ethnic groups in the Central Plains. He appointed Han Chinese officials, promoted capable and virtuous individuals, revived Confucianism, relocated populations, organized displaced people, and provided relief to the common folk. However, he did not abolish the cruel mother's death for the son's nobility system. The cold-blooded mother's death for the son's nobility system, which began in 409 and lasted until 512, continued for 7 generations in the northern Wei, enduring for a century. It was a measure by the Northern Wei rulers to promote the integration of the Tuoba Xianbei culture with Chinese traditional culture,